What is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about my content predictions for tomorrow's content here in NBA 2K25 MyTEAM. Before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 40,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I upload every single day, multiple videos a day. Would really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe. And without further ado, let's hop right into it. This weekend, I think, has the potential to be a pretty big weekend of content. I would not be surprised if we see some really souped up cards, maybe some borderline out of position type stuff. I don't know. I do think this is going to be a pretty loaded drop in all likelihood. The reason that I say that is because 2 weeks ago, obviously, we got the Summer Festival, which had Invincible Kareem, or sorry, GOAT Kareem and Invincible Pettit and all these really top tier cards in it. But the Friday content itself wasn't that ridiculous. And then last weekend's Friday content, while not bad, with some good budget cards, especially with Vlad and Josh Childress, wasn't a ridiculous drop either by any means. And so therefore, I feel like we're kind of due for a really good drop. The Invincibles we got in packs the last couple weeks were, I mean, like Rudy Gay on Tuesday was nice, but then we got what the week before, or the Friday before that, we got Magic, Kawhi, and Carmelo. So like all guards, not that insane. And then this past week we got T-Mac, Devin Booker, and Vince Carter. Again, all good cards, but all guards as well. Feel like we're due for some Invincible bigs. I feel like we're due for another GOAT card this weekend. Feel like we're due for a really good drop in total is kind of my thought process for this weekend. But before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 50,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I upload every single day, multiple videos a day. Really appreciate it if you'll do subscribe. That being said, I do think we're going to get a loaded drop. Like I said, we're going to get 20 cards, something along these lines, like we have been. I would assume it'll be pretty similar to last week's drop, except for the fact that instead of, I don't know how they'll do it. We'll see. Will they do 400 overalls again, or will they do 300 overalls, a GOAT, and 3 Invincibles or something? I think we're going to get a GOAT card, 3 Invincibles, and at least 300 overalls this weekend is my guess. But obviously, starting with lower tier cards, my continued hope is basically that they do a good job of following up last week, which had a lot of, well, obviously a couple of dogs in Vlad and Josh Childress, but then a couple other solid cards as well. Herb Jones, Luke Walton, Rajah Bell, Marquise Daniels, Patrick Patterson, Darren Williams with his shot creation, like multiple interesting cards here who were solid options. Hopefully we see that again this next week. My number one kind of request, I guess you would say, is that we get a tall point guard who is budget viable in terms of having a high level release and maybe some movement as well. Just because, I mean, I think besides Denny Avdia and I guess like Andrew Bogut with his size, you don't really have a lot of like budget point guards that can really compete at the very highest level size wise at this point. I guess Josh Giddey's kind of in that category, but you know who would be interesting, and I don't know if he'll get a card because he got one last season. It hasn't been that long, but like that Delano Banton that we got, that diamond, if he were to get a dark matter or a Galaxy Opal, he would be a monster. That'd be like an incredible budget point guard. And that's the type of card we need. I know we just got an Anthony Black a few weeks ago as well, but that style of point guard, except at an even higher tier, is what we're looking for. Maybe we get another Dyson Daniels. I know we've had a couple. We got a diamond and a pink diamond, but a dark matter version, like somebody like that, a 6'7", 6'8" dark matter point guard who is extremely elite defensively, but also has some shot creation and some scoring ability and a good jump shot as well. Would be nice to have like that really good budget top tier option to counter the top tier point guards in the game a little bit better. That's the position that I think right now we might be slacking or lacking the most in terms of budget cards after this week, where we got Free Miles Turner, we got Vlad and Josh Childress. We got some really good cards, and what that has done is I think shifted the need a little bit more towards that point guard position. Additionally, I will say, I know we got a really good small forward last week in Vladimir Radmanovic, but I would love to see, and I will continue to mention these guys' names realistically until they get cards, Danny Ferry and Jonathan Bender. Every single week I'm going to be mentioning those guys in the content predictions until they get cards, quite simply because guys like that are the types of small forwards people need. Guys who are going to be elite shooting, big switchable defenders. That's what people want at their small forward position, so that they have guys who can compete and counter physically, guys like Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, other invincible small forwards that are likely to come as well here in the future. Because I mean, you look at the invincibles right now, with the exception of Wemby, Shaq, and Giannis, it's pretty much all guards. Even LeBron, who is a small forward eligible, is a point guard as well, so most people are going to play him a guard. With the exception of Wemby, Shaq, and Giannis, it is literally all guards at this point out of the invincibles. And I feel like this week could very easily be the week where we start seeing some more of those wings, considering in terms of true small forwards, we really only have Giannis and I guess kind of LeBron, but not really. Like small forward, power forward, like that's the type of thing that I feel like we could see at the invincible tier this week, which is again why I think we need more high level budget options to kind of counter them. Vlad was good, but a card even better than Vlad, like a Danny Ferry, like a souped up Dark Rider Danny Ferry would be an incredible card. So I would like to see that as well. And of course, I would never complain about more size at the center position. If we were to add, obviously, since they give us Mark Eaton and Dikembe Mutombo, as well as I guess Artist Gilmore and Downtown 2K, we've had some good options recently in terms of top tier bigs that people can pick up and can use for more budget options and stuff to give them some size at their power forward center position. But again, I personally would not complain at all about a Dark Matter Murasan, for example. Somebody like that who's the budget Yao. He's still going to be expensive if he gets a card, but he's gotten a Dark Matter in the past. A Dark Matter Murasan, Dark Matter Sean Bradley, a Dark Matter Rick Smits is a good name that hasn't gotten a card in a while. Those types of guys. I know I'm asking for the guys who would be the best, but it's June 5th. We're kind of at that point in the year where it's like we're in endgame. We want high level Dark Matters to compete with these invincible god tier cards, and so if we can get an 80 speed 7'4" dude with a high level jumper, that's the type of card that I want to see. You know what I mean? 85 speed 7'4" guy, the Mark Eatons of the world, the Artist Gilmores of the world, but honestly even better, like a Rick Smits hasn't gotten a card. Has Rick Smits gotten a card this year? I think he got a diamond at some point, didn't he? Yeah, he had a diamond in season 3. But he's had elite level Dark Matters in the past. And I don't even think he was in 2K24, but 2K23 had an exceptional Dark Matter. There was a reward card, if I remember correctly. Like that would be the type of card that I would absolutely love to see. And again, the same can be said for Sean Bradley, Georges Merson, other guys like that throughout NBA history. Manute Bol already has a Galaxy Opal, but if he were to get an actually good card for a Dark Matter, somebody like that, again, that's really what I'm most concerned with. That being said, at the Invincible and GOAT tier, I do think we're going to see some bigs at the Invincible tier this week. I would say realistically, when you look at the big men that are out right now at the lower tiers who haven't gotten higher tier cards yet, it does feel like the two most likely guys to be getting cards this weekend are probably Hakeem Olajuwon and David Robinson, the two of whom who have not gotten higher cards than the Dark Matter tier yet and are definitely on that all-time great big man level. I'd say both of those two guys could very easily be in line for upgrades here in the very near future. In fact, I would be very surprised if we don't see at least one of those two guys here in the near future. Another guy who I will mention who would make a lot of sense is a small forward. Invincible small forward feels like this could be a card that absolutely comes this weekend. We haven't gotten a big small forward since literally the second weekend of Invincibles with Giannis when he was the first Invincible in packs. We haven't gotten one since. Like a Kevin Garnett that can play small forward, has a change jumper. That card would make a lot of sense to me. I think that's a card that we could very easily see this weekend. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw like Invincible D-Rob and Invincible Kevin Garnett this weekend. It's kind of my thought process. Or Invincible Hakeem and Invincible Kevin Garnett this weekend, something like that. I think we're going to see a couple of big guys, like a big small forward, a big power forward center type, as a couple of the Invincibles this week, and then we'll probably get another guard. Who that guard will be, I really have no idea. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of just threw in what would be considered more of a filler Invincible. I know they've been doing that on Tuesdays. They haven't really been doing it on Fridays yet, but if you look at cards like Steph got 100 overall a couple months ago, he's not going to be a great Invincible, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him get an Invincible. I feel like he's the type of guy that would make sense for that. In terms of 100 overalls, I don't know. John Wall maybe feels like a name that could get 100 overall this week. Obviously, you're looking at the Dark Matters who haven't gotten higher tier cards than Dark Matter when it comes to the guys that you think might get those 100 overalls. So I'm not as concerned about the 100 overall tier just because in general they haven't been that great for the most part. Like last week's 100 overalls were kind of meh. Week before, Glenn Rice and Josh Smith were really good, but still not that insane. And then the week before that was pretty bad with the Skylines 100. So that being said, the highest tier card, I think we are going to get a GOAT card this weekend. And I know the thumbnail says Hakeem Olajuwon. I just didn't want to put MJ in the thumbnail again. I think we're going to get a GOAT MJ this week. He just seems like the guy that we're going to get this week. It makes total sense to me as kind of a no-brainer. 100 overall card would be one of the best hundreds in the game. Or sorry, would be one of the best cards in the game, one of the best point guards in the game. just kind of a no-brainer GOAT card to me. He's obviously in a lot of people's minds the greatest player of all time, and he's a big pack seller, and he hasn't gotten a card in 2 seasons basically now since this Inevitable drop. So seems like it's about time. If we're getting a GOAT card, why not one of the greatest players of all time in Michael Jordan? That is my prediction for this week for the GOAT card. And with that being said, that is also where I'm going to call the video. So I hope y'all did enjoy. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.